Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sporting Perspective. This is going to be our NFL draft recap show. Um, 257 selections. I think that's what it's at this year. Yeah, 257. I got it around the knob. And we saw a lot of surprises. We saw things that we expected. Fernando Mendoza. We won't talk about it. He went one. No surprise. But there was a lot of surprises after that. So. I guess we'll just jump right on into it, James. Before we kind of start going through some of these picks and everything like that, what was your initial reaction to this year's draft? Yeah, I'll just pass it off to you.
Uh, it's kind of the same every year. I get excited for it. The first round's fun. I tell myself I'm gonna watch or try to watch as much as I can of the second, third, fourth rounds and on. But obviously by day three, picks are just going so fast. They don't even announce every pick on TV. You have to just kind of watch the ticker. So it's tough. I think it's nice background stuff. Background TV for a Saturday when it's rounds 4 through 7, depending who your team is or if there's any players or colleges you follow and you want to see if guys get picked from there, or to the teams you follow. Probably better to just check on the ESPN app or see what's up. But other than that first round, it kind of to me the hype kind of dies off.
Yeah, a little bit. You start to not recognize everyone's name and everything like that, and yeah, it kind of turns into a little bit of a rapid fire situation. We're Arizona Cardinal fans, so let's just start with the homer pick, which was number three. Jeremiah Love goes to the Cardinals. What did you think of that pick? I'll give my response after, but what did you think of that?
I mean, it's exciting when you get a player who's projected to be a Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley type of running back. I mean, the guy he probably could play wide receiver if he really wanted to. He's such a good pass catching running back. I've heard that I'll admit, I didn't watch or tune into a ton of Notre Dame games last year. But I mean, I saw him enough, and he was a big enough name, and he was a, you know, Heisman finalist. So you can't not be excited about someone like that. Whether he produces right away, obviously, it's tough to say when you go to a team like the Cardinals, who are picking in the top five. Offensive lines always seems like it's always been an issue. But I mean, if Love really is this good, it might not matter. The hype around him, I think, it wasn't as crazy as it would have been if it was just as random of a pick as it could have been. I know I kind of repeated myself, but the chatter before the draft, there were mentions of this actually happening. So it was more of like, there's no way they're going to do it. And then they did it. But we kind of knew it because it was getting reported on.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is it might have been a Cardinals pick that they made because last time they were in this situation, they passed on Adrian Peterson, and we kind of see how that all turned out.
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe it is best to just take the best available player, and he's going to be on a 4-year rookie deal, and maybe the Cardinals can turn it around with him and try to get a little more out of Marvin Harrison Jr. You have the best tight end in football, so like the pieces are there on offense. You still need a quarterback. We'll get to that later because the Cardinals did draft a quarterback, but I don't know. Overall, it's an exciting pick, but like it's an exciting pick. We don't know what it's going to trend towards or what it'll lead to for next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always smart to take the best player on the board, especially when like you're the Cardinals, when you have so many different needs. Some of these teams, obviously, once you get into the first round, like in the teens and 20s, they're kind of looking for exact guys to fit, schemes and certain like that, and fill in, positions that they need. But the Cardinals need everything, basically. So taking the best player on the board, I really had no problem with that. Could have gone defense. There's a lot of good defensive players in this draft, but Love, I have no problem with that. And it's going to be interesting. I know you mentioned Carson Beck. He's going to get an opportunity at some point during the season. Just he will. And I thought that was not a bad pick in the third round because why not? If it's great, fantastic. You hit in the third round. If not, oh well, we're right back at it next year with going to find a quarterback. So I thought that was pretty safe in its own right. I, I know I just brought it up, the schemes. Before we jumped on, you were talking about it. Someone like Ruben Bain drops to 15, and how so many things over the past, decade or so now has become so analytical. I'll let you just kind of speak to it that, some of these things like Ruben Bain, we saw him dominate at Miami, but drops all the way to 15. I'll just let you kind of speak onto that.
Yeah, we were talking before the show just how analytics seems to drive a lot. Again, as Cardinals fans, we know that with our previous GM and Steve Keim. He was all about speed and 40 time, and guys like Andy Isabella, Rondale Moore, rest in peace, guy got drafted, and those guys never really made it. Rondale Moore is an interesting one because he was still so young and he was on the Vikings. We don't have to get into that, but he hadn't done anything yet. I know he had a bad injury that led to him being out all of last year, but like Andy Isabella, speed demon, never made it. We've seen some of those other guys. I'm blanking on the guy that went to the Chiefs or had been on the Chiefs, Nicole Hardman,
Yeah.
for where he got drafted. I wouldn't really say he's turned into. I mean, sure, he's probably a good special teams player and he's kind of a good returner, but like, wasn't quite it. Sonny, what was that other guy's name who was on the Chiefs? I think he went to the Niners. I'm blanking now. Anyways, it's a lot of these guys who just like can run fast in a straight line. It's like there's more to receiving than that. Anyways, you had mentioned Darvell Reese. He dropped from what I've read because he had short arms. Yeah, arms matter when you're rushing the quarterback. You need to be able to, throw the lineman off you or do swim moves or spin, whatnot. But didn't affect him in college. And I know the NFL is a much quicker and stronger game, but if you really are that good, you'll make it work. I mean, look at last thing I'll say is look at Aaron Donald. Guy was not a prototypical defensive tackle. Probably should not have been that good based on analytics and going into the NFL. Now he's arguably one of the greatest defensive tackles to ever play. So sometimes you just got to look at the player and see their tape and see the work they put in, and are they a hard worker? Do they try hard? I mean, that to me is half the battle because you could have the most talented guy on the face of the planet, but if they don't work hard, they're not going to be anything.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of just jumping on, adding on to that. I mean, the NFL draft, everyone gets all excited and a lot of hoopla around it and everything like that. And all these teams are like, oh, we changed our next decade, because of this draft and things like that. But people forget that, in the first two rounds, 50% of these guys won't even be in the league in 4 years. And that's just the first two rounds. You go 3 to 7, the drop off is much more significant. It's hard to hit on these things, and there's so many things that go into play: injuries, off the field issues, literally just scheme fitting in with the roster. Who you're going up against. Some of these guys just may not get opportunities that they will if they were at other franchises. So a lot of it's luck. A lot of it's just kind of like, you just never know who's gonna be what, and where they're actually gonna, what's gonna actually happen with them. It's no sure thing that we know anyone is. I know a lot of these analysts are like, this guy's a sure thing. Like, he's going to be great. But you just never actually know. I mean, we'll go to the greatest quarterback of all time. Tom Brady doesn't go to the Patriots. Tom Brady is probably not Tom Brady.
It's one of those, yeah. I mean, it took a Drew Bledsoe injury to
Yeah.
get him thrown into game. Like, say he didn't go to the Patriots. Say he went to, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a team at that time when he would have been drafted. Like, say he went to like,
The Bears. Could have been anyone.
yeah, it doesn't matter, I guess. But he goes somewhere where a quarterback doesn't get hurt, and he's just the second or third string quarterback for 4 or 5 years, and then after at that point, maybe no one re-signs him because they're like, well, we haven't seen him play
Yeah.
in a game. He was a 6th round draft pick. Yeah, let's just kind of
Yeah.
let him walk.
Yeah, it's just so it's a lot of it's luck, and you just never know. But let's talk a little bit of the skill position players real quick because this draft saw a record number amount of wide receivers and tight ends drafted. So I'll just pass it on to you. There's a lot, so we'll just group them together. What are some of the some of the receivers and tight ends that you think will stand out? I know we're probably going to focus in on the first round guys here, but I guess we can talk later guys as well. This question, but who are some of the guys that you expect big things out of?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, we already talked about Jeremiah Love. I'm going to mention Carnell Tate. I think he just falls into an opportunity where he doesn't have much around. Like, they have a decent receiving core. Calvin Ridley's old. Uh, DK or Dite, whatever his name, DK, I
Yeah,
think. He's solid. But, I mean, Tate really has an opportunity to become the number one fairly quickly. Um, it's interesting. This wide receiver class, honestly, this wide receiver running back class wasn't fantastic. I mean, Carnell Tate was the first receiver taken, and he wasn't even the best receiver on Ohio State. I mean,
Jeremiah Smith.
Jeremiah Smith. I mean, he's supposed to be like a legend. Like he could be the next, I don't know, Calvin Johnson type. Just like a transcendent wide receiver. Carnell Tate, I think, is really good. He very well could be. I mean, I'm going to say it. He could be a Pro Bowler because it seems like, I mean, Shedeur Sanders was a Pro Bowler.
Mm.
I think Carnell Tate's really good, but if you put Carnell Tate up against other legendary receivers we've seen in previous drafts, I just don't think he's quite at that level. He's really damn good. But like I said, he fell into a really good opportunity. Um, he's a young quarterback who's going to throw him the ball. The running back room in Tennessee is really not that good. So he'll have he just, I keep saying opportunity, but he has an opportunity to kind of be that focal point of that offense. Jordan Tyson, I really like where he went. To me, I think intangible wise, Jordan Tyson's a better receiver than Carnell Tate. Has a chance to be great. Injuries have played a part. I know a lot of people have said it's been like unlucky injuries, like you can't like ACL, broken collarbone. I mean, it's football, so there's non-contact injuries and then there's contact injuries. So you plant weird, there goes your ACL, there goes your Achilles. You get hit incorrectly because you are playing the game of football, your collarbone breaks. I mean, it stuff like that just happens. So to call someone injury prone, I've had this conversation with so many of my friends and so many people. Injury prone is an interesting term because it's one thing if it's basketball or baseball, but in football, it's like if your head's turned the wrong way and you get hit, you can be paralyzed. If you get turf monstered, I mean, that's happened to so many guys. So, yeah, unfortunately, Tyson had a injury-filled, college career, but if he can stay on the field, I think he's a slam dunk. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other guys. Makai Lemon, that's an interesting one to me. I really, really like Makai Lemon. I think he didn't go to the best opportunity because, man, you can tell I'm not in NFL mode. Why am I blanking on the quarterback of the Eagles?
Hurts. Jalen
Jalen
Hurts.
Hurts. He's just not, in my opinion, a great passing quarterback. I mean, a big body receiver has helped him with A.J. Brown, but he definitely values tight ends. So guys like, I know Eli Stowers didn't go in the first round, but he to me seems like someone who could excel with Hurts. And obviously Smith is there, the Slim Reaper. But Lemon's going to have to really, I think he's going to have to really run short routes in the slot to be effective with a guy like Jalen Hurts. I'm trying to think. I'll throw one more out there.
Okay.
Or I'll throw two more out there. Concepcion, I think, has an opportunity to be really good. He himself, obviously, I would hope everyone in this draft, he thinks he's the best receiver in the draft. I really like him. If he had gone to somewhere other than the Browns, I think he could be great. But right now, that franchise is just always in the dumps. We don't even know who their quarterback is.
Yeah.
Is it Dylan Gabriel? Is it Sugar Sanders? Is it Deshaun Watson? I mean, we're not sure. But he has an opportunity, I think, to at least be the guy in Cleveland. I mean, he doesn't really have much to go up against other than maybe Jerry Jeudy, who isn't, a superstar by any means. And then the last guy I'll say is kind of another guy in that Concepcion realm is Omar Cooper.
Hmm.
I really like him, and he, I think, can fit next to Garrett Wilson really, really nicely. But again, the Jets just need a quarterback. Geno, maybe it was a down year in Vegas last year, but he is getting older, so you know, obviously Geno's probably better than anything they've had in the past couple of years. But Omar Cooper is going to need a quarterback because we saw that if the Jets don't have a quarterback, even Garrett Wilson can't put up good numbers. I mean, Justin Fields was so bad last year. Um, I guess I could talk about Jadarian Price, but maybe I'll leave that one to you.
Cool. So I'm gonna just mention a couple teams really fast and just kind of overall, I thought they did well. The Jets, I thought did really well, and they might they might have had the best draft. I'll ask that question a bit, but they might have had the best draft. But Mystique and then Cooper in the first round, they really helped out that wide receiving tight end core. Geno being there, they're probably going to draft the quarterback in 27, but they're really setting the foundation really well. I thought they did a good job of getting pass catchers. Cleveland, I thought did a good job. I know you already mentioned Concepcion, but getting Boston in the second round, I thought was a good get. They're just desperate for athletic freaks. Basically, they have Jerry Judy, and it's a big fall off after that. And Jerry Judy's not great to begin with, so getting those two guys in the building really helps out for whoever's going to play quarterback. So I was happy for that with Cleveland. Kansas City needed a receiver. They got one late. Cyrus Allen out of Cincinnati. He broke a bunch of records at Cincinnati. So this is a guy that could make an impact on a team that really has been struggling to find, a consistent player. Rice has been there here and there, and Worthy has been kind of not what they expected. So this Allen kid may develop, a good core with Mahomes, and that could really work out quite well. So I was happy that they got that guy late in the fifth round. I thought that was a smart move. Baltimore, I thought did a good job. They're about to go into more of a Ben Johnson type offense with Lamar. They picked up Blaine out of USC, big receiver. They picked up Surratt out of Indiana, another big receiver. I feel pretty good about, and both of those were third round picks. I feel pretty good. I don't know which one. One of those guys I think is actually going to be pretty good, and it comes from that Ben Johnson, Sean McVay tree. So one of these guys may. I'm not going to say they're going to be this, but they could mimic it a little bit, kind of like that Cooper Cup, Puka Nakua type role where they gobble up a bunch of catches because they're two big bodies that Lamar can really throw to. Something that Baltimore just doesn't really have, and with an aging, my God, I just
Mark
blanked on the.
Andrews?
Sorry,
Mark Andrews?
no, running back. Just blanked on the name.
Oh, Henry. Derrick Henry.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. With an aging Derrick Henry, they're not going to be able to just give him the ball a bunch like they did last year. They're going to have to give it to some of these bigger receivers going forward. One team that I was really, really surprised about is from a tight end wide receiver standpoint. I was assured the Raiders were going to take a receiver. I mean, their receiving core is still really bad. They took Malik Benson out of Oregon, which is fine, but it was a late pick. I'm just really surprised that Vegas didn't help their receiving core. I mean, Mendoza's going to need to throw the ball to somebody, and you're going to have to create running lanes for Genti. They struggled to throw the ball last year, and not all of that was to do with the quarterback. A lot of that had to do with the fact that they just didn't have any depth. So they still have to go find someone. I heard today on the news that they might be in the running for Ayuk for a trade. But they need a receiver. Benson's fine and all, but they don't have anyone. I think their number one is Naylor from Minnesota, and he was the three, in Minnesota last year. So, and I get you still have Bowers, which is great, but that was my one team that I was surprised that they didn't on such a deep wide receiver, tight end draft. They drafted one, and it was Malik Benson in like the 6th round out of Oregon.
Yeah, there's always a few picks where someone's on the board, and then you see someone go, and you're like, who is that guy? Why are they not doing what they need? Why are they drafting this when they need this? It
Yeah,
just. But what do we know? We just talk about it. We're not in the organizations, I guess.
yeah, true that. So I'll ask the big question: best draft, worst draft.
Who? I really like what Vegas did. I think they short up a lot, and obviously, having the number one pick, Mendoza helps. I love Traden Stukes, obviously being a U of A guy. They actually drafted him and his counterpart. I'm blanking on his name. Shows how good of a Arizona football fan I am. But Traden Stukes I really like. He's a good safety. He can play like nickel corner. I like that. They drafted a running back who I think will be like a solid backup for Genti. So I really like what the Raiders did. Um, Worst. Honestly, I might put the Cardinals up there. I just feel like they didn't really fill out anything they needed. It's like, I mean, I know we like Love. We talked a lot about Love. But they drafted like zero defenders, and we had one of the worst defenses. So that didn't make much sense to me. Um, that was kind of, yeah. Throw the Cardinals out there.
Yeah, if I'm going best, this is not for immediate. I think this is for down the line on this one. I think the Jets had a really good draft. I think they're really building something. Got a lot of starters right off the bat. So I like the Jets, especially what they did early on in the draft. I think Tennessee had a really good draft, top to bottom. A lot of guys that can contribute. They picked up like Singleton out of Penn State in like the 5th round, and he was a good running back at Penn State. A lot of good pieces there. They picked, I forgot who was it, 31 or 32. Yeah, Folk, the D end. He was supposed to be, in the, well, not the lottery, but he was supposed to be on the top, and he falls all the way to the bottom of the first. So I thought they did a good job. There's a lot of teams that we haven't mentioned. I thought Chicago had a good draft. I thought Dallas had a good draft, from picks here and there. The one that I don't understand, I think a lot of people have been critical of this team, is the Rams. It may turn out well in, 2 to 3 years, but they really drafted for 2 to 3 years from now, which is kind of a weird move for a team that, is right there. I thought at 13 they would take a guy that would impact the team right now, and it's giving memory to that 2020 season with the Packers, where Packers were in the same situation, and then they draft Jordan Love instead of drafting someone for Aaron Rodgers, and then they lost the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship, and everyone was like, you had one more receiver or something like that. Um, I'm surprised the Rams didn't go and get a receiver with, like Lemon. I thought for sure Lemon would go there with Adams getting a little bit older, Puka Nakua having a lot of off-field issues this year. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go and get another receiver just from the aspect of, I'll just pick on Adams. Adams may not be healthy though once we get to December, January this year. So I thought it was an unusual draft for next year. Maybe 2 3 years down the line, maybe all these picks turn out great. But for immediate winning immediately, it was a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ty Simpson pick I thought was strange. I mean, I know Stafford has been mulling retirement. Maybe he hasn't, but I know people are doing it for him. He is
Yeah,
getting older. Uh, but, I mean, if you thought Ty Simpson was the successor to Stafford, maybe draft him a little later. I mean, 13, that's pretty high, especially for a team that was a couple plays away from going to the Super Bowl. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, just it seems very strange. And Ty Simpson is also a wild card. I mean, it's not like he's like a like he wasn't a guaranteed first round pick till just these past couple weeks. One, because the quarterback class was so bad, and two, we don't have a lot of game film on the guy. He started 1 year at Alabama. He played 15 games in his college career, so we don't know a whole lot about him.
Got to ask this question: biggest steal?
Ah, biggest steal. I think it's Jermod McCoy.
Yep,
Um, Another guy who went to the Raiders.
yep,
He was first round talent. I know he had a bad knee injury, but it kind of reminds me of Will Johnson going to the Cardinals last year. If he's healthy, he could arguably be the best cornerback in this draft class. So where they got him in the fifth round, I think is an absolute steal. Because at that point, like we talked about, fifth, sixth, seventh round, fourth round, even those are dart throws. So it's like you just got a first round talent in the fifth round who could be your lockdown corner for years to come. Sign me up.
yeah. That was going to be the same guy that I was going to say. So I'm like looking up and down the draft right now to see if there's anyone else that jumps off the page for me. But that was the one for me that was like the most obvious of like, yeah, that's a great pick, great value there. Because if he's healthy, yeah, you just got one of the 10 best players in this draft. He's just got to get back on the field. That's the biggest thing with him. And yeah, that is my pick. Because now I've gone through the whole seventh or 4 through 7, and yeah, I don't really have anyone else that like jumps totally off the page. Um, but like just a couple stories that I thought was funny. Like I just have to mention it as I'm going up and down. Uh, I can't even say this guy's name, but I love the fact that with the draft, you just never know what's going to happen. Philadelphia, picked 251. I'm not going to even try to pronounce this guy's name. He's out of I think like Nigeria or something like that. He's never played football before. Drafted him. Uh, but all right, that's great. The other great story that this video is now circulating around, and he was wide receiver drafted out of Iowa. I gotta look up his name really quick. It's Wet something.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah, he gets drafted while he's playing a round of golf, which I thought was hilarious.
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Anything else you want to jump into that were kind of final thoughts before we log off here?
I don't think so. I mean, as you can see, we could go on for hours about this. The last thing I'll say, and then I'm done. Arvell Reese revealed that he had a point 0.4 GPA at
Oh,
one point in high school.
yeah,
I just thought that was kind of funny. I
yeah.
gotta get a point 0.4 GPA. That's so bad.
Point four to a what, a 3.8 at
Three
Ohio
seven or
State.
3.8 at Ohio
Yeah,
State. Yeah,
it's
I'm
like
not buying that.
what happened there. Yeah. Um, I think the one thing I'll say before we log off is it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with quarterbacks going forward. And what I mean by that is obviously a lot of these guys in college are coming back because they're getting massive NIL checks, but there's a trend now starting, and we've been seeing it now the last few years. Guys that are projected to go in the first round at the beginning of the season falling way deep. Garrett Nussmeier was this year's story. Quinn Ewers was last year's story. I mean, you got Drew Aller this year, Clay Klubnik, all these guys that were projected top 16 picks in September. And I mean, Aller went third round, Klubnik went fourth round. Garrett Nussmeier barely got drafted. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. If these guys continue to just take the NIL money, or they're like, oh, I can't risk it, I'm going to the NFL. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward.
Yeah, yeah. All of those guys at one point were projected first round picks, and yeah. Maybe they'll be steals, or maybe they really just aren't that good,
Yeah.
and NFL execs know what they're doing.
I'm guessing. I mean, I was not surprised by this. Diego Pavia not getting drafted, not surprising, right?
He didn't have an agent.
Yeah, didn't even have an agent. Yeah, I know a lot of people on social media were going nuts over that.
I think he got picked up by the Ravens, so obviously he'll never start. One, he has to make the team. Two, he would need a Lamar Jackson injury. But yeah, he's got a. We'll probably be seeing him in like Arena League or
That's kind of
UFL.
what that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. All right, well, I don't think I got anything else to add, and we're deep into NBA playoffs, NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs. Baseball's cruising right along. Little break from NFL now for a couple months. So, um, but even then, there's always news. So, yeah. All right, guys, enjoy your Monday. I don't have anything else to say.
Take it easy.